Hello and welcome to Power BI Lunch and Learn, everybody. We are now on Season 3, Episode 5. And we're just thinking about how far we've actually come. So we started back in March and April, obviously, when the first lockdown started, to share our experiences with you guys. We went on a world tour, which seems like so long ago now. And then we wanted to get your experiences this season as well. And we've had a number of special guests, a number of attendees that attended Season 1 and Season 2 come on and present their real life Power BI reports to us and showing us how they can improve performance, how to create functionality, how to embed Power Apps within reports as well. So we've had some really special sessions this season. And we've got another special session for you today, and it's all about the heat today. It's all about the weather, and it's nice and warm by the looks of it from here outside, and we're bringing the heat to you as well through Teena Meena, who will be deep diving into the heat map visual. Okay, so let's have a look. It's been a good week as well, because I've been looking at all the entries for the competition we've had going over the last sort of 3 weeks, and it has been quite good looking at some of the time and the effort and the analysis that's gone into these reports, and I'm really looking forward to showcasing them this afternoon at the end of the session, announcing our winners as well, and even more so using the reports to improve my team and win this fantasy football league. So we'll showcase some of those later on. Now let's start with a few announcements just to see what we've got on today. So to begin with, we've got our intro and updates, which we're doing right now. In a few minutes time, we've got Teena Meena, who's getting hot with heat maps. In part 2, we've got Ben Howard, our resident, and he'll be showcasing his bookmarking capabilities with help. Who, what, where? Yeah, exactly. Helping the end user, trying to help them figure out how to navigate a report and other bits and pieces. Okay, around 20 past 1, depending on sort of timings, we're going to go through our fantasy football competition, our entries, our top 3, and announce the winner for this competition. Okay, and then hopefully close around 1:30. Quick update. So the quick Power BI update. So this is something that comes across in organizations quite a lot, and I get asked the question, is this data valid? Has this data in this report been reconciled? And more and more users come to use reports, there's always that apprehension around, is this data right? Do they trust the data? Can they trust it? Has it been reconciled? Has someone, certified it, etc., and reconciled it back to our source systems? And so there's now a sort of certified and promoted reports app capability in Power BI, which allows you to certify reports, which is quite cool. So you can stamp a report once you've created it, just to confirm that, yes, this has been reconciled to the system. It has been checked and verified by personnel, and we've certified that this data is correct. And that's a cool new feature, which I think which would be very useful going forward as well. Okay, so check that out. It's on the Microsoft Power BI blog. Your career. So where are you at the moment? I posted out earlier this week around a role for Power BI consultants. Cloud 2, our Season 3 sponsor, is on the lookout for personnel such as BI consultants and data consultants, as well as a full stack developer. Now, even if you don't fit into any of those roles there, they do have a superstar role available. So are you a superstar in any of the sort of cloud-based tools? There's a superstar role where you can sort of send your CV and send your details in and have a conversation with them to see if they can perhaps create a role around what you are an expert in, essentially. Now, I'm happy to give you a personal introduction, or you can apply directly online as well. And if you do want that introduction, send me a message, as some already have done, and we can have a quick chat around that and how we can move forward with that. Okay. So competition results, yes, so they're coming at the end. Let me just double check my next slide isn't the actual results. Have I got the slides in the wrong place? Just bear with me a second. Can't ruin this. No, I haven't. I'm all right. It's a demo of the top 3 reports at around 3:20, and the winners are announced at the end of the show. So that's all it is. Okay, cool. Let's bring on our guest. So Teena Meena, she is a certified Power BI consultant and a data scientist. And I've worked with her over the past few months now, and she is a really interesting character. She's worked with the likes of the NHS. She's the owner of Datix Analytics, which has some really useful blog posts on there, which you should check out. She loves cooking, she loves eating, she loves dancing. I wonder if all of those are all at the same time. That'd be quite interesting to know, but let's find out. Let's get her on and let's find out a bit more about Teena. Teena, are you there? Hello?
I am, yeah.
Hi Teena, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Good, I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for joining us on the show. So yeah, tell us a bit more about your cooking and eating and dancing. Is it all at once, or is it?
So first of all, thank you so much for inviting me for this Teams live session. Yeah, so my name is Teena, and today I'm going to talk about the table heat map visual in Power BI. I'm working as a Power BI consultant. I'm a Power BI certified consultant. Have been working in business intelligence for now 6 years, and specializing in NHS, in retail, telecom, and education department, and pharmaceutical. So yeah, in my free time, I love writing blogs. so have you put cooking and eating and dancing.
Cooking and eating. I mean, that's what life is about. I think cooking and eating, not about data. We want to.
Because I
We're
love
all
eating.
about the food.
So yeah, that's why I love cooking, because I love eating.
Brilliant. Okay, so today you're going to show us the sort of heat map visual, and there's a lot of scenarios that we can go into, which I'm sure you'll mention throughout the report. So if you'd like to share your screen, and then we can share your report, and then you can take the floor and start your presentation. So Teena is based in London. She's been working in Power BI for over 5 years now, or working in BI for 5 years, and she's going to take us through the heat map visual. Okay, Teena, you're being shared at the moment.
Can you see the screen?
I can see your screen. Yeah, I can see your heat map.
Okay, so this is the day our heat map I have prepared, which I'm gonna show how you can build it from scratch. So I'm gonna start showing you. I have prepared a very quick dummy data for this. So I'm gonna load a CSV file for that. Okay. So in this data, I have kept it very simple. So I kept a daytime column. It's not a hospital data, but it's a good example, good use case to show appointments day hour heat map. So I just put some hospital names, and then trust is NHS London, and appointments, total appointments for the day. So I go on transform data before loading it.
So what's the scenario you're working to, Teena, in this example?
Okay,
is there a requirement or a scenario that you're working towards?
I'm just going to show you the appointments day hour heat map, and you can select any hospital to see how the appointments are doing, So in real data, you will have more data like staff members, GP, and other staff roles. So you can check there how each surgery is doing, how each hospital is doing, or whether they are busy or not. So it shows like demand and capacity, something like that. So
okay, good.
That's what I'm
looking forward to it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna give it a name, a different name. So I'm going to duplicate the date column. So I want to extract hours because we are going to do a day hour heat map. So what we do is we go to transform and extract hour from the date time, and then I'm just going to quickly rename this to hours. Now I need to build this, I need the day name as well. So I'm going to duplicate this again and go to transform, go to day and name of the day. Okay, and I'm going to give it a name, weekday. Now the trick to use this table heat map is we have to pivot the KPI with weekdays. So we can use the data model just like that. So what I'm going to do is go to transform, click on pivot column. And say, okay, yeah. And now our weekdays are like separate columns rather than, you know, a value in a column. So this is how our data model should look like. Once you have this data model, then you go on home, close and apply, and you are done. Okay. So now I need the table heat map. So you can go to the Power BI app source and select all and search for table heat map. And this is the table heat map you're going to import. I have already imported it, so it's going to say update. That's it. Now, to use this table heat map, first we have to build the data structure in a table. That's another trick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring hour, and then now you have the data in your weekday name. And when you bring hours in the value, just click on don't summarize, because sometimes it shows the summer count. And I'm just gonna bring all the weekdays: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It is a bit of like way around, but it's very nice visual once you know how to use it. Now what I'm gonna do is I have the structure. Now I'm gonna switch it to table heat map. We have that table heat map, but the problem we have in here is the hours are not sorted. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a separate table for hours. In this case, I have already created this. So I have an hour and just AM PM added to the hour, because it, when you use that column, it just makes it better to visual, because you can understand 1 AM 2 AM. And then I have added an index column. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna replace this hour in the category column from AM PM column from our hours table. And if it is not, in this case, it is sorted, but if it is not sorted, you click on AM PM, go on sort by column and click on index, and it's going to sort your heat map. Now, let's change the title of this heat map, and let's call it our heat map. Okay. Now, if you want to change the color or the theme of the heat map, you can go here in general and color brewer. You can select blue green if you want. You can select green blue. or you can select any other color, whichever you like. So I will just use this green and blue, and you can change the bucket size, but the maximum bucket number is only 9, so you can just change it to 9. And now what I'm going to show you is, at the moment it's showing you a table heat map with all the null values as well. So I'm gonna disable or switch off the null values so you can see actual data. So you can just switch it off from here, fill by color cells with null value. Now you can see, okay, so when you have this heat map, what you're gonna do is you're gonna use your filters. So I'm gonna use my dimension, for example, hospital. Oops, what did I do? Sorry. Let me just select a filter and put hospital in here. So if you want to select any particular hospital or any particular provider, or NHS, CCG, or whatever data you have, you can see their heat map. They have a heat map, and if you want to make check, sometimes you have data quality issue in your data, so you can see, okay, so actually some GP surgeries, they are opening at 7 and they are closing at 8. That's okay, normal. But in some cases we have some data issues, like GP surgeries are opening at 11 a.m. or 6 a.m. Sorry, not 11 a.m., 11 p.m., 6 a.m., 5 a.m. That can be a data quality issue. So this kind of things you can easily highlight, and you can see which hour and which day is more busier. So you can see, okay, Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, 9 a.m. is quite busier, and between 12 to or 1 to 2, you take your lunch hours or something like that. So it's a very good visual to use when you want to have a quick visual of your KPI on hourly basis. That's it, and we are done. If you want to follow if you want to have more view, you can go on here, academy.datix.co.uk, and you can follow my blogs here. So
thanks for that, Teena. I just wanted to go back to your report and have a bit more of a deep dive into what that map is actually showing us at the time, and what sort of questions would be answered through this.
Okay, so here what we are showing is, let's say I have taken this hospital dummy data, yeah, and I'm showing total appointments by day and by hour. So you can see, okay, so usually GP hours, they are busy between 8 to 10 or 11.
Okay, so the darker it is, the more appointments there are.
The more value, yes. So you can see the buckets here. The darker it is, the more value it has, the maximum value it has. So the lighter it is, the less busier it is. Does that make sense?
How have you seen the organization respond to this? So once they've seen that there is a almost like a bottleneck at those times, how do they then make changes to then spread those appointments out?
Let's say then they want to dig out, okay, let's see the appointments by staff member and filter it by GP and other staff. And then if GP is handling, let's say, more than 80% of appointments, then they can make decision, okay, actually, do we need the GP for these appointments, or some other staff can handle this kind of appointments? So this kind of decision we can make using this heat map.
Ah, right. Okay. So I see. So you can have the number of, so let's say a sort of doctor's surgery has a number of doctors in there. You can sort of see the capacity for each doctor, and then react or act or react to anything that might be happening.
This heat map shows the demand, and then you can manage capacity, kind of.
Yeah.
So
okay. Yeah. That sounds good. So it does seem quite straightforward, and it looks like you used a custom visual. Is that right? So how did you get to that? And is there anything in Power BI that might be similar?
So this is a Power BI app source I went to. So you click on Power BI Visual and you select all and say table heat map, and it's called table heat map here. You just add it. So import it because it's already imported in my Power BI. So I just say update. Yeah. And to use that, you have to always draw a table first. That's a trick. Yeah. And then once the table is built and you know what's the order, you just change it to your table heat map, and that is it. And
and what other formatting options does it have? So what other formatting options can you apply to this heat map?
So you can change the color theme. Like I said, you can change the color theme according to your business. So I usually use this one, or you can use the blue green or green blue, anything, whichever you want. And you can change the bucket. So by default it was 5, but the maximum bucket it can make is 9.
Yeah,
that's a bit still limited, but it gives you better than 5. Initially by default the null values also shows the minimum value of color, but I would like to show no null values, so I just switch it off because that gives me the clarity.
Okay, but I mean, could the null values help highlight anomalies or exceptions?
Exactly. So as I said, in my example, I don't have like too many anomalies, but in real life data, I have seen like we had some appointments, at 5 a.m. or some at 11 p.m., which is a bit unusual. So you can check whether they are actually, these GP surgeries were open or it's a data quality issue. So this kind of anomalies, it highlights, and you can easily see, okay, some GP surgeries, they open on Saturday and very few, they open on Sundays.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, yeah. And can the legend be set up from 0 to 100% of capacity, for example?
No. Which legend? You mean this bucket?
Yeah.
No, it can set only some numbers, which is the maximum is 9, and it automatically takes the bucket size, and you can't change the percentage. But if in your data you have percentage value, then it will show percentage. But my data had only total appointments, for example, so it only shows the absolute numbers.
Okay, right, I see. So it just breaks the total amount of appointments down into the number of buckets you ask it to break it down to.
Yeah, if you change it to 5, it auto calculates it, so it has pre-built, functionality.
Yeah, so you can then amend your buckets and then focus in on things a bit more as well to see how much.
The only negative side is if you want to do your own bucket, like you want to specify, 0 to 10, 10 to, that's not possible in this. Which I'm looking as well for a solution, but let's see if there is something new comes up. Yeah, it's a very, very good visual, and yeah, it's very useful. In my previous places, people, they really liked it, especially NHS people. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. No, I enjoyed that. Lewis, is any other questions on the Q&A for Teena?
Hi, Sheba. No, I think we managed to cover off most of these things. If you can put the URL of your blog into the chat, a few people are asking for that.
Okay.
And then someone's asking how the heat map visual works when it's published to the service. I imagine it works exactly as it works here. Even if it's a custom visual, when you publish it, it takes that visual with it, doesn't it, Sheba?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. So hopefully that does work in the same way. Do you get any different functionality once it's published to the Power BI service, Teena?
No, it does look like as it is.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. And I
Okay,
can share
well,
the chat.
so is this something you can share with us? Can you send us the PBIX file, and then the guys can download that from our site?
So what I can do is I can upload this use case on my website, or if you have any link, I can share the workbook. That's not a problem because it's a dummy data. So yeah, I'm happy to share that.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Right, thank you very much, Teena. That was a really nice overview of heat maps in Power BI, and you can sort of think about capacity and planning, and that's a lot of user cases come around that.
Basically shows
and
the
also,
pressure.
Sorry, what was that, Teena?
It basically shows the pressure points, the demand, and then you manage capacity, and it applies in almost all businesses, not just NHS. It
does, yeah. So not just the NHS, but if you're working with, you can work within retail and sales, so you can sort of see, let's say, for example, throughout the week, which is your busiest periods in terms of shopping and things like that. And you can think about things like, you go on Google nowadays and it's got the crowd management and that sort of thing. It's busy at this period, and you can imagine the heat maps, if they had some for that sort of thing, would be quite dark, I guess, in this instance. Okay, cool. So we've got Ben Howard coming up next with our help session. So Ben, are you there? Are you ready to share your desktop? Ben seems to have popped off somewhere for lunch.
There we go. I'm back.
Oh, he's back.
I was just fixing something. So let's just share this.
Cool.
That should work. How are you doing, Shep?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right.
We've been missing you over the past few weeks.
I know, I've been busy. I've been working.
Yeah. Oh, well,
shocking.
Someone has to do it, doesn't
it? Yeah. Right. Rock, are you going to ask me loads of questions as well?
Maybe, yeah. Depending on how long you take to get through your session.
So if I take a long time, you won't ask me any difficult questions?
No,
brilliant.
That's right. Right, I've got you and your desktop live.
Brill. All right. Rock and roll. Nicely on Teams, it just comes up and tells me we've got some bad network quality, so we'll see what happens with that. But welcome. Help, of course, is the subject of this particular session, and there's a reason behind that, and that's because you can spend loads of time crafting your Power BI report, but are people going to find it easy to use? And the easier something is to use, the more likely it is it's going to get traction in an organization. So let's just talk about kind of why bother with help. That's the brief intro to that. And I'll preface this by saying, if you're deploying a Power BI application, if you like, a visual or a set of reports into an organization that's got 10 or 15 users or 20 users, you can wander around 20 users and you can just you can go and teach everybody how to use this application. If you're going to deploy it to 40,000 users, you've got to make this thing easy to use. Okay, and that's kind of where the help comes in. So why do we bother with help? Well, I've split this down into a couple of areas. The first is usage issues in terms of how do I navigate around this report? This might be the first time somebody's seen an interactive report. They might be used to PowerPoint presentations, but not necessarily something that's interactive. And secondly, they might want to give you some feedback, and that's something that you should certainly ask for. So that's the first area is around usage issues of the actual report. And secondly, there may be questions about, what does this data mean? We talk about data quality a lot, especially when I go out and I perform consultancy in Power BI. Data quality is the issue. So if we look at something around sales, for example, and if I put a revenue figure up there, what does that actually mean? Firstly, is it time bound? Is that gross revenue? Could it be net revenue? What's that currency representing, or what currency conversions have I used, especially if I'm going across Europe and I'm looking at pounds, shillings and pence, Danish kroners, euros, obviously, and everything else we might have in there. Does that top line figure include or exclude potential refunds? We don't know. Is it booked revenue or just invoice revenue? And again, there's different values in there. So as soon as you're presenting some data, we've got to be very clear about exactly what that data is. So there's at least a couple of scenarios as to why bother with help. Okay, so I've got 4 main things that I want to cover off today, 4 main strategies, and we'll do them one by one as we go into the demo, and Cheb will leave some time to talk about fancy football at the end. But main strategy number 1 is provide a front page to guide users. And I put this under the report usage. How do I, use this report? Yes, you should absolutely make sure your reports are easy to use. But as I say, you might be dealing with users who've never used Power BI before. They don't know that it's clickable. They don't necessarily know that it's right-clickable, right-click to drill through on something. And so we need to provide that, or we should provide that, that help there. I look at that as an equivalent of a README page. And on that front page, remember when you publish a report, the page that you publish it from, so you publish a report out to the service, if you publish that report and you're on the front page, then that's what by default people see. If you publish a report and you're on page 5, then that's by default what people see, unless they set their own bookmarks up in the service. And we've covered that historically. So on that front page, you might want to provide some obvious clickable navigation. Okay, so let's have a quick look at a demo of this. Here's my Power BI report. In fact, let's just do this one. So we've got 2 flavors of this Power BI report. This is the flavor without any help. Okay, so we can see this is all, I'm going to do the majority or some of this at least through the service. This page has, or this report has 5 pages on here: summary, sales, general, etc., etc. And on here we've got just some top level graphics and then some nice little graphics below that. So that's what we look at before. How do I use this? Well, to us being Power BI professionals and users, this is all fairly easy. So I know that it's clickable. But if we were to provide a front page, so here's my report with help, then I put a separate page on here called About This Report, which is where people are going to land. So a couple of things that we've put on here, a couple of things that I've put on here. Let's just collapse that. Firstly, I've taken every page should have, of course, a nice header. So this page is called How to Use This Report. It's just a little bit of text. And the main thing about this page is I've taken a screenshot of page 1, the summary page, if you like, or what was page 1, what's now page 2. And we've gone top to bottom, left to right on that. And I've explained what the information is at a very high level. So, and I've numbered it as well. So number 1 says these 3 cards display top level sales information. Again, notice what we've done there. We've made it easy for people. We've bolded items that are of interest. Okay, so the 3 cards display top level sales information. They will change to reflect selected data points on the 4 main charts. And obviously we've got 4 main charts under there. Tooltips provide contextual help. So that's number 1. Number 2, I won't bother reading number 2. Number 3, I won't bother reading. Well, I will bother reading number 3 because sometimes actually you should explain why you've chosen a particular visual, such as this ribbon visual. Okay. Same for number 4. This talks about the values are in GBP, regardless of where the sales is, whether it's in United Kingdom, Spain, etc., etc. Number 5 says, oh, we're displaying a tree map. Again, tree map is in bold. You should use the right terms for the visuals. Okay. And here we also say right click on a segment within the tree map to drill through to particular segment details. Segment being, of course, the sales segment. So we're providing some help straight away that allows users to begin to interact with the report and understand what the report's showing them, and also how, what the options might be in order of right clicking, etc. You'll also notice, if you look carefully, that I've got a little icon next to pretty much every visual on here, or every help visual, which if you mouse over just says click click for help. And if you click for help, actually in this case, I've just put a hyperlink on there and it takes me to the BBC. But you could put a hyperlink on there which goes to a specific page on your SharePoint site or your intranet, etc., which gives you some more information. Let's just have a look. What are we doing here? Oh, yeah, US election. So each of these, of course, could be slightly different tooltips. And notice when I hover over, we've got a tooltip which says click for help. It's fairly simple, but they could all be separate ones. The final thing that I've put on here is an ability to provide feedback. Again, it's got the same little help button there. And when I mouse over or hover over the mail icon, it says, hey, mail to Ben at Acme. But of course, if we click on here, this is a clickable link and it opens up Outlook and of course puts in the mail in there as well. So you can provide easy ways to provide feedback to people or allow them to provide feedback to you. So that's the first page. I pretty much will put that on every not serious report, but if I think it needs it, if we're going out to more than 10, 20 people, we'll put that sort of thing on. What do you think about Sheb?
I like it.
Sheb's asleep.
It's good.
He's asleep.
I was no, it is a nice touch to have a front page or a help page, because if it is, like you said, just a big organization and someone gets wind of the report, wants to start using it without any introduction whatsoever, it's a great way to have them use the functions and features of Power BI. Yeah, you're right. Of course, you're right. Sorry to take you on the just to wake you up there. All right, the next one is tooltips. Now, tooltips kind of auto-populate in Power BI anyway, but we can decide exactly potentially what we want to see on tooltip as well. But typically, you can set different tooltips per visual, and just so that you're aware, they're not available on textual. If you insert text, you can't put a tooltip on a text. So let's just go and have a look, see if I can remember what we were going to do on there. I'll go back into the Power BI desktop item here. And if we click on summary, in fact, let's just go over to the report. We'll show you how that looks in real life. IRL. There we go. And then we will go on to the show you how to set that up. So if I mouse over, if I'm thinking about total sales here, which is expressed on this visual in pounds, shillings and pence, etc., then I can just bob a tooltip up when we hover over. It says, in this case, again, the total sales, things are bolded, value calculated from invoiced orders, expressed in Great British pounds, brackets regardless of the sales country. So that's what that £119 million means. If we look at total profit, we've got the same sort of tooltip that pops up. So I'm really beginning to express exactly what makes up that data. Okay, so that's the point about the tooltips. Now, negative things about tooltips, I've seen tooltips everywhere, and when people mouse over, you get lots of these tooltips coming up, and sometimes it just makes a mess of your report. You can't mouse anywhere without a tooltip popping up. Okay, so that's one thing you need to be careful of. How do we set them up? Well, if we go back into my if we go back into my Power BI file and we have a look at this card, let's just pick this visualization up, which is our card. Just click on there. And we look at the formatting, then down towards the bottom of that card, we can choose whether the tooltip is displayed on or off. And if we choose to turn that on, then we can display a specific page for that tooltip. So notice on the report, I've got some other pages here, and I've got a page called total number of sales TT being tooltip. It's hidden. So but if we click on that page, then this is exactly what we're expressing on that page. Okay, so how do we set this page up as a tooltip? Well, pretty easily on the page itself. If we click in there, we've got page information. So that's the name of the page, of course, but it's this value here,
the fact that it's a tooltip turns the size, or enables this page to be a tooltip page. The other thing that you'll want to do on here is modify the page size. Okay, so under the size of a page, there's actually a tooltip default size, but I'll always change these so they fit the text. You'll see at the moment this one doesn't fit the text, so we may well go and change the height of the page away from 150. Let's just see what 80 looks like. Okay, 80 is looking not bad, and so we'll go for 75. That will go for 70. And so when I save this now and publish it, mouse over that tooltip, you'll see at the moment it's a bit large. Okay, that's the size of the tooltip at 250 pixels or whatever, or 150. And now when I save and publish this and come onto here, that tooltip will be a lot smaller. So tooltips, what do you think? Sheb, you can see how this is going to work. What do you think of tooltips, Sheb?
Tooltips are fantastic. Yeah, it's a great way of giving additional information to the user without the visual actually being on the page. So yeah. Yeah, cool, brilliant. Okay, so after tooltips, having done tooltips, let's have a look at the next one. If we get PowerPoint to work here, bookmarks. Now, bookmarks are great fun to use. They are and can be complex, not complex to set up, but it can get very messy very quickly if you don't plan your bookmarks carefully. You can end up with bookmarks all over the place, things not working quite well. But let's have a look at the bookmark scenario. So again, let's snip over to Power BI. Difference between this first report, or the second report, and the first one is this help button here. Okay, so what I've done on the second one, the help button doesn't exist there. What I've done on the second report is added in this help button. So what does this do? Well, plainly, it's a button, because we know with an image, I mean, this is just an image I created in Snagit, I think it was. We know with an image we can associate an action with an image, so we can click on the image, and clicking on that image allows an action to be a bookmark. And so I've got another view on here, set of bookmarks, which puts then a little help icon next to everything else. Okay, so that's what that button does. So help, turn it off and everything disappears, turn it on and they all appear. So what can we do with that sort of help? Well, obviously we could have a tooltip against that icon. So we can see the tooltip popping up there, which says turn help off. And of course, if we were to navigate on, and if I had done it well, which I have done, then again, I get a little tooltip that says turn help on. So we turn the help on, and then we can put different tooltips on all of the other help icons. Now, I was lazy and I just cut and pasted in some standard text, but this tooltip can be 250 characters long, so that's quite nice. But what else can we do? Well, when we click on the help for a specific visual, then again, I can bookmark that, and I could have a whole host of text coming up, a whole separate set of visuals, if you like. In this case, this is just a textual visual, which gives me help, or would give me help specifically regarding this visual. So let's have a look at that. And I chose the text one actually, because you can see here, if I maximize this, this is pretty big. I can put a lot of information to describe what that visual is doing. And of course, we can click back on that visual and get rid of that help, and we're taken back to the standard bookmark. So how do we set that up? Let me turn that little lot off. So back into my Power BI desktop, which is here. No, that's the wrong one. I didn't close it, did I? Oh, it's here. Just looks different because I'd left it left it on that page. Let's go back to the summary page. So here's help. Here's my help icon. So if we select that and we look at that particular visual, then you can see that
for that visual, which was just inserted as an image, then we've got an action for that image. So when we click on the action, the type of action that we're going to perform is a bookmark in this case. And I've got a bookmark called with help. So when we click this, we're going to have a bookmark with help. And there's the tooltip which says turn help on. Let's just have a look at those bookmarks that we've set up. I won't show you how to set bookmarks up because, do you know what, we've done that before. Go back and look at one of our lunch and learn sessions around bookmarks. But let's just view what these look like. So here's my bookmark, which is by default called no help. So when this is selected like that, nothing changes. If we click on with help, then that's what the visuals look like. Okay, so we can bookmark visuals in and out, and we can show you those. If I look at the selection pane here, you see with help which things, if I expand this, which things are displayed and which are hidden. If I go back to no help, then you can see all of those little buttons have now become hidden. So each button is renamed, of course, and they're grouped. So we've got, I put them in a group called help buttons, and I've got the main help button, which is displayed because it is at the moment, but then the summary help button and the sales help button, they're all hidden. Once I click on the help button, we go to this bookmark as we've seen, and then all of these other bookmarks become lit up, if you like. They're available to be seen. And then for each individual visual, if I look at this, if I click here, then that button as well has its own action. Okay, so that button, which I'm now selected, also has an action of a bookmark, but it uses this bookmark called chart help selected. And if I have a look at chart help selected, it looks just like that. Okay, so when I say bookmarks can become complex, it's not that they're complex. Keeping track of what you're doing is complex. If I had 4 visuals on this page, then I would have to have 4 separate bookmark pages, if you like, for each of those visuals. So that's where it becomes quite complex. Okay, makes sense, I guess. Sheb, what do you think of that one? Wake up, mate.
No, that's really nice, and I like the way you've done the sort of inception of bookmarks, where you enable a pack of bookmarks and then dive deep into another bookmark, and almost sort of a nested a bookmark tree that you're sort of creating there, which is good. And you can see how it can get quite you know, messy, like you said. But yes, best practice would be to use groups and to group things together to keep everything in order. One thing I did want to ask actually is the options that you get when you click on the ellipsis next to the bookmarks. So the ones that say data and visual. So if you click on the sort of ellipsis next to one of the bookmarks.
Oh.
In the bookmarks pane, if you click on one of the ellipsis next to one of those. Okay. Yep. So you get those data, display and current page options. Do you have any further information on those and what they mean?
You know, I've never had to look into them. I suspect you're going to tell me, though, at the moment.
I was going to ask.
Just move that one. Do you know we should have?
I do. Yeah, I sort of know what they do. Yeah. I just wanted an explanation from you if you had one. Yeah. So these are the sort of options you use when you want the data to stay in a specific way, or if you want to have the filters affect or not affect the bookmarks as well. So these are the sort of settings that you need to consider when doing those sorts of things as well. So
yeah, sure. I mean, if I can jump in on that, the data one kind of saves the status of all the slices.
Yeah,
so
that's right. Yeah.
At the bottom there, Ben has it selected for all visuals, and he has data selected. So the bookmark will include the status of all the slices on the page as well, won't it?
Yep.
And then it will include the display status of all the objects, whether they're visible or not, and include the page number as well. Because it is possible to just save a bookmark with a certain set of slices, so that's the data bit, ignore the display in the page, and then you can run that bookmark on any page you want, and it'll put all the slices to be consistent.
Yeah, yeah, Makes sense. Yep. There we go. See,
There
I knew
we
one
go.
of us.
Live and learn. Live and learn. Okay, cool. All right, I'm not going to ask you any other questions, Cheb, because you make it too hard for me. The final bit actually is again for the data usage, is to navigate perhaps to a different page. So if we want to provide some help, and then we can say, okay, here's the help, but let's just click on the help and then use page navigation instead of bookmarks. Now, for me, this is simpler to implement than bookmarks because you know, as we've seen, bookmarks can become quite complex. So let's just have a look at that one. That is, again, if we come over to not there. If we come over to here and we turn bookmarks on. So this was my bookmark, which we've just done, this was my help rather than the bookmark that I've just shown you. If I look at the help here for sales and profit by year, quarter and month, then what that does is that takes us to a completely new page, okay, hidden away. And on that page, effectively, I just leave the visual in the same place. Okay, so that visual doesn't change. All the other visuals are being removed. And then again, I put the same sort of text in there just to explain exactly what that visual is showing. But because we're going to a new page, and it's very obvious we're going to a new page, I could put, you know, 3 or 4 different visuals on here to help describe what we're doing with this particular sales and profit by year visual. And again, because it's a page navigation, we can just put a little navigation object on the page to make it obvious for people, you know, how do we get back? So we just click on there and we're back to that page. And of course, once I'm done with my help, then we can click on this button again, because this button is very obviously depressed, and then undepress that button. Undepress, I don't know, press it once more so that it pops up, and we're back to where we were. So that's the overview of bookmarks. So we've got kind of 4 main strategies for implementing them. One is provide a front page to guide users, and that's about report usage. Secondly, we've got tool tips around what do we do for the data. Thirdly, we've got bookmarks, which again is about data usage or visual usage. That can become very complex. Think about what you want to display and how you want to display it and your naming conventions before you start diving into this. And then the fourth one is the same sort of thing, but page navigation. It's just simpler to implement than bookmarks and can be much richer as well. The other thing to think about, last thought to leave you with, is I've demonstrated everything on a desktop here, and it's a small browser space that I've got so that you can all see it. If you're going to try and do this on a phone, this just becomes massively complex. So again, if you're going to roll out to 40,000 users, think about what devices they're going to begin to use, and many people will start to use things on phones. Providing help on a phone is really difficult, so I would go for very much individual screens that very briefly describe what those visuals are doing. Okay, that's it from me, Sheb. Any questions?
40,000 users, wow. Can you
That is
imagine the server costs on that?
As you know, yeah. Luckily, they bought Power BI as part of their licensing from Microsoft, but it's an interesting challenge.
Yes, I bet it is. Right, okay, so let's get on to the competition winners. So stay where you are, Ben, because you're going to help me go through some of these and just talk through some of the reports that we received.
Just to let you know, I think you can all see your videos are being shared now.
Yep, we're all here. Hello. And we're going to put me live with my screen. Hopefully you can see. Can you see me now? No, you can see Lewis, Ben.
I think I might still be sharing. Do you want me to stop sharing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, yep, I can share my screen.
There you go, mate.
Excellent. Cool. So yes, on to the prize winners. So we've been eagerly awaiting the winners of this competition. We've got a few minutes left just to go through the last few. So these are the prizes that were on offer. Let's have a look who we've got positioned on our competition. So the fantasy football competition. Well, you know, we had to have some winners on the screen, didn't we? And you know, who better than the world champions and the Premier League champions and Champions League winners a couple of years ago as well. So, you know, who better to have on there than them? Okay, third place, David Ord. Third place, we have David Ord. So David Ord sent us in an entry. Lovely, and thank you everyone. So let's have a look at Dave's work. So he's based in Manchester, enjoying the Power BI sessions. So he wanted to use the report to find the dream team for any period that you specify in a particular game week, based on a 4-4-2 formation. So gives it a good introduction. So again, he's already taken Ben's advice without even seeing today's session and giving the user, you know, a headline as to what's going on in the report. Okay. And the report displays in web or mobile view, as Ben would be happy to read that as well, as he does like a good mobile view of the data. Okay, so let's have a look at what's been done here. I particularly like this ribbon visual at the bottom. I haven't seen it used much, so I don't know what your take is on that, Ben, but I know that you used it in one of your reports just now. But I think this really sort of showcases how the change in sort of data along these sort of game weeks that we've got down here.
Yeah, I'd agree. It does show, you know, where the progression, if you like, up or down of a certain data point changes. People will often use line graphs for this. Line graphs to display the same sort of info. Yeah. You know, my advice to people would be have a look at your line graph and then see what does that look like in a ribbon visual, and does it make more sense?
Okay, yeah, no, that's good. And I like the way you can sort of pick your game weeks, or based on the game weeks 0 to 9 in 2020. These are the sort of, this is the dream team that that is picked out here, giving you your best keeper and the best set of players for your team, which is which is great. And if we want some more information, he's got a link here. Again, he sort of foresaw what Ben was doing this afternoon and give us some help, and then give some more information on the dream team. Play a 4-4-2 formation. Each player is rated using a divide and conquer algorithm, which has got a link to a Wikipedia site, again giving help to the user, giving information, and then all the weighted factors on how he's scoring each of these sort of each of these values in here as well. So really impressed with that. Really like the way Dave's put that together, and hence the reason why he has third place on our competition. Okay, well done, David. We'll be in touch with the next steps. Number 2, Flavio Menezes. So Flavio, we've heard from you know, in the past in the Manchester user groups as well, and he's been following us for a long time, and he's sent us in his entry for this fantasy football competition. So let's have a quick look at why we deem this second best. Now, first of all, I really like the visual. You straight away come into a view. Unfortunately, it's a Harry Kane is the first striker you see. Would have preferred Mo Salah, but you know, I'm liking this visual that I can see here in terms of the threat and the creativity that particular sort of player is providing. And I think what we can do is go through and search through any other player within you know, the tables and the data set, and have a look at their sort of creativity and based on sort of influence and threat, etc. as well. And we've got a link down here which then gives us the option to see costs, so we can see the costs along by how they've sort of been getting better and so on and so forth. We've got plenty of information here. Hover over, again, tooltips helping us understand what this information is. So form is a player average score per match calculated from all matches played in his club in the last 30 days. Ben, thoughts?
Yeah, do you know, it was really difficult to choose between first and second, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I really enjoyed the graphics on this one.
Yeah.
They were. It looked a more polished set of graphics and report. It looked as much more corporate-y, perhaps, than the first one. Very, very difficult. You know, look at that. Look at it. It's superb. It really is superb.
Yeah.
I think we just felt the info and the usability and not the presentation, but the discussion around how you would use this report was better on the first one. They are both fantastic.
Yeah.
Well done to
definitely.
both. You know, everybody actually, but well done.
Excellent. And we've also got a league overview view here, which I really like as well. How he's utilised a sort of scatter graph here, and then be able to sort of look at players who haven't got sort of many points. So total points is quite small, but then we can use that to then have a look at these outliers over here in the corner in terms of value and form. So really impressed with how this is put together, and the visuals, the pictures, all just add to that, and definitely a report that I'll be using in changing some of my players in the coming weeks. So well done, Flavio. You are number 2 on our list. Okay, now the winner, number 1. We've already gone over the times, but we're going to go into number 1. Our winner of fantasy football competition is James Daniel Best, and I guess his name says it all. It is well, probably arguably the best report we've received. Okay, and let's have a quick look at why we thought so. So first of all, we can see it's connected to the live data, so it's got an updated position in terms of the league stats, and of course Liverpool top of the league. As well there with Man United down in 15th place there, unfortunately. But the sort of information, it's a good homepage. It lands us on the homepage to say, okay, right, where do you want to go? Do you want to look at player data, value for money, who's hot, who's not, wisdom of the crowd, which is you know, intriguing as well. It's like, well, what is that? I want to go and have a look at that. And also a sort of highlighted link down here, take me to the recommended players now. So let's do that. Let's go and have a look at the recommended players. And again, analysis machine recommendations. One of these fellas between the sticks will do your team the world of good. It gives you a breakdown of those in terms of DT machine ranking. What is the DT machine ranking? Oh, well, there we go. There's a sort of information for us down here. The Dream Team analysis machine has taken recent form, future picture forecasts, and the total points per million to rank who's best value for money. And then we can see we've got for defenders, midfielders, and forwards as well. And let's go into the player data. We go into the player data. We then get a breakdown of players by club. So of course, let's have a look at the league's best team, and gives a breakdown of Liverpool players. So now we can see the sort of total points, how many he's played, what the forecast points are going forward, who the next fixtures are for this team as well. We can filter it down to midfielders in here and just have a look at those, see who do we need to sort of take out and put back in. So a good breakdown of people, sort of players by team. Let's go and have a look at the wisdom of the crowd. What's this? Well, this is a sort of overview of how others are reacting to, you know, transferring in and out users. So you can see that a lot of the net transfers for the current week is Kurt Zuma. So a lot of people have brought in Kurt Zuma, and a lot of people have brought in Ziyech as well. And as you sort of go down and further down, you can see the ones that I guess have been taken out and gone the other way as well. Now this is interesting because you can use and follow everybody else and get everybody and get Kurt Zuma in and get these players in, but then you could go against all that and think, okay, well, I'm going to be a bit clever. I'm going to choose the ones that actually people are taking out. I'm going to try and put someone else back in. Now I can go on talking about this. There's just a lot of information, a lot of analysis in this report that I can just keep digging into and just keep using. And the amount of effort and time and effort that's got into this particular report is outstanding. So that's the reason we gave James the winning spot. He's put so much effort in to this. Ben, any comments?
even just go back one there. I mean, I echo all the ones we've seen are great, but just look at the background visuals on there. You know, on the left-hand side, we've got some icicles because who's hot and who's not. On the right-hand side, you know, we've got some flames. So probably a visual should have been the other way around as to who's hot, who's not. I don't know. But as you say, the effort, we all know the effort. Getting the data, getting a good data model is absolutely vital for all of this stuff. But that might be 90% of the time. You can then get a simple report in the other 10% of the time. But to then get a report which actually you've done all of the additional bits, like put the £50 note images on there, put the icicles, put the flames on, just the sheer amount of data and the amount of effort's gone into the visuals. I think this is why this one got top spot. But I was going to say all the three that you've shown, we were blown away by them all, weren't we?
We were, and you know, even the guys that we haven't been able to showcase their reports, you know, thank you for your entries. They've been great to look at and see how people, you know, take a bit of data and then just extend it and just work with it to create, you know, something like this. So well done to the winners. Well done to everyone who entered, and we're going to leave it there. We're going to be in touch with you guys, your winners, over the next sort of week or so. So stay tuned for that. Next session we have is our sort of season 3 finale coming up on the 18th of November. We've got a special guest in Christina, and she's going to show us some SPC reporting in Power BI, which is a big thing on a lot of people's lips at the moment. And I'll be looking at the DAX function user relationship and how we can actually utilize that in creating some effective Power BI reporting. So guys, again, if you'd like to just unmute yourselves and say goodbye to everyone. Teena, thanks for joining us today. Lewis, thanks for all your help in the background. Appreciate everyone taking their time to join in. Everyone, would you like to say bye?
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone. Right, see you guys next week. Oh, in 2 weeks. Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye.